How about another token organizer? So, I was asking some people, I don't know if you've seen the last video. If you haven't, check it out. We're doing a giveaway. Of course, all you have to do is subscribe and send me an email. To get in on that. It's awesome. But going forward, I also mentioned to those that were sending out an email, just give me an idea as to maybe what the next video should be. So a couple of people have mentioned a few things, and the one thing actually I didn't even get from necessarily the emails there, but I've been seeing some people mentioning about a token organizer for a specific game, a Kickstarter that just came out, and I just happened to get it. So that's Excavation Earth. Very cool looking game. I yet to get into it yet. I've kind of got it set up in another room, and I've been just kind of working on setup and about to get into the action phases and whatnot that the game revolves around. And I'm looking at all of these little pieces, and there's lots of stuff, like lots. If you got into the Kickstarter and you got this game, you know what I'm talking about. And then there's also, which I haven't even opened any of this yet, there is an additional bunch more artifacts, right, to add to it. So, looking at all of that, like, there's a lot of stuff. And then this is just an ad. There's a lot of this that comes with the game as well. Plus, there's also the second wave. And the second wave comes with a couple more creatures, and there's some content and stuff in here, another rule book, and some extra cards and things like that or whatever. So, do I really want to mix the two together and just make one big box? Do I want to make it so that you can still separate the second wave? I was thinking that might be a good idea, because maybe you just want to play the base game, but when you're carting everything around, you don't want to have to cart this around and the other box and whatever. You just want to have everything all together. This might be a pretty good challenge to come up with a way that we can keep this separate but still in the same box and have all the content inside this box. It's that thick. It's potentially could possibly we could maybe do this. It's definitely going to be a challenge. We have to make sure, of course, just like I've done in previous videos, if you've watched, I did a token organizer for Tiny Epic Galaxies, and that turned out really good. And also for Subatomic. If you've never played that game, it's actually, for a game that's about science, it's actually a lot of fun. You can check that out too. There are a couple of videos out there that show Subatomic and show how it's played. The one that I do is token organizer for it. It turned out beautiful. It's great because when it's all together in the box, if you've got one of them elastic bands around it or something to hold everything together, you can shake the crap out of that box, open it up, and everything is still exactly where it's supposed to be inside. One of the goals in making a token organizer is that you don't have a mess every time you open up the box, that everything is in the little organized compartments. Otherwise, what's the point, right? You may as well just build trays and, always carry it around like this very carefully so it never spills, right? But if you're going to put this in a backpack, like if you've got one of those Geek On backpacks, the ultimate backpack, sometimes they've made those so that you can actually slip the box right in and not have to have it up this way. But not everybody can afford those backpacks. They're like $200 backpacks. Sometimes they have duffel bags and you can just put it in. Sometimes just a regular backpack and you're going to just shove that in there like this. Put an elastic around it, make a token organizer for it, everything's going to stay where it's supposed to. So that is the goal. And again, what do we use? We use foam core. And again, this comes from Dollar Tree, and it's called Ready Board. Ready Board is specifically made, they make this stuff on purpose this way so that you can do this, so that you can actually peel the paper off of it and only have, just the foam, so that you can actually cut the foam with anything you want to cut foam with, right? See, so that just all peels right off there, as you can see. just like that. And it peels off both sides very easily. And then you're left with just the foam that you can send through a wire cutter, or, you know, if you don't have one, just an X-Acto knife and a ruler. You may want to have a square. You want to keep everything the way that it's supposed to be, nice and straight, right, so that everything fits properly in the box and fits nice and snug and nothing goes anywhere. I do have a Proxon table. It's fantastic if you don't have one and you do want to get into making organizers, say, for all your board games, which it's a lot of work. When you have it done, for each board game that you've made it for, you're going to love it, right? Because it's just, it takes away a lot of the setup time when you're playing a game. Especially when you get a game like Excavation Earth. There's so many components that if you already have them pre-organized, that you can actually just pull them out and just pop them down wherever they got to go. It speeds up the process of setup, and then you've got more time to actually just enjoy the game rather than being frustrated, like, oh man, I got so much stuff I have to set up here. You know, maybe I'll start before all the guys show up or whatever. Now, setup time's been cut down, maybe by a third, maybe by half, depending on the game. It becomes more enjoyable even for the person that owns the game that has to set everything up. And then even for putting everything away. And so little baggies and stuff like that, and then dumping baggies out and then messing around with that. I like seeing everything, knowing where everything is, having everything all organized. That's the point. You know, we've seen token organizers made laser cut out of wood and stuff like that, and they're beautiful. They're really nice. There's some that have been made for Scythe, and they've got it for Gloomhaven, and they have it for Lords of Waterdeep, and you know, and really nifty ideas and everything. But it's expensive, and even to buy them already pre-made, which you still have to actually assemble them when they show up. Like, they're not completely made. You know, you get them in sheets and they pop out, and you gotta fit them together, right, or glue them together, however way. Some of them are made that they snap together, you don't have to glue them. Some of them have clear plexiglass and stuff that closes up the boxes, so it keeps everything all nice and neat inside, again, so that you can move that box around however way you want, and it's not going to spill everything all over the place. And that's great, but it's expensive. This stuff here, it's $1 a board, and you could make, depending on, you know, one of these boards might make 2 or 3 full organizers for a Tiny Epic game. You know, like Tiny Epic mechs, you know, maybe you make one for that, so you've got something for all the little weapons, and for the mechs and the meeples, and then the cards, and you got everything all organized. Like I did with Tiny Epic Galaxies, you know, and again, if you want to check that out, you know, just take a look at my channel. Don't forget to subscribe, right? And don't forget to send me an email if you subscribe, because there's that giveaway. Previous video, check it out. So going forward, let's get some ready board stripped. We'll get the paper off of it, get it ready so that we can start making a token organizer for Excavation Earth. Alright, so first things first. Now, I've already taken everything out of the box, because like I said, I had it all set up over in the other room. But first thing we're going to do is get rid of this thing. Get rid of that. So here we go. Here is our space. Now, right away, we've got the book. Here is our players that you can choose from. And there's more than the amount of players. You can only play up to 4 players. So, you know, every time you play, you can pretty much almost choose something different every time you play. Right? I love the graphics. They did a great job. They're, you know, there's even pictures on the back, right? It's double-sided. It also has these little indentations here. So when you put your little cubes in, they sit there. They don't move around on you, which is kind of nice. Like, they thought this out. These things are thick. That also poses a new challenge, because that's how much space that's going to take just for those. And then we still have a couple more to add from the expansion. So then we also have this guy. Like I said, I haven't played the game yet. I can't remember what this is for. I do have a friend I'd like to say, as a friend, was involved with this Kickstarter game. Right, I keep bugging her to show me how to play sometime. But I don't know, we'll see. Again, another board, and this is where all the little the buying people and stuff go, and you get your wild card ones here. That was the only disappointment I had so far with this being Kickstarter, is that there's 10 of these little guys here, right? And of this particular color, I only got 9 of them. I'm missing 1. That's the thing, it's a Kickstarter, so usually if you send out a message, they try to fulfill and fix anything that they might have missed and stuff like that out of boards. There's the map, right, or the board itself, which, you know, folds out like so, times 2. So it folds up nice, and what's great is that it actually leaves in here, when you put it in, it leaves all this space. Now this is good, because we might be able to make compartments along the side here deep to be able to hold the characters and the colored cubes and all the stuff, and maybe make all little separate compartments for it. You know, that we can each just pull out the ones we're going to use and leave the rest in there, so we don't have to make a big mess for nothing with all the others. So that could be maybe a way that we can work that out. If we were to take this and put it in there, well, now this overlaps that. So that means maybe on this side we can only go this high after this is in. I know we have to figure it's odd shapes. So this is another part of the challenge, right? And then we put these in. Now we're starting to lose how much space we have before we get to the top of the thing. Now, after putting the ones in from the expansion, if we still have room, we might be able to do, say, one big tray across the top and put all the artifacts together, right, or something like that. It's all about trying to map this out. So the next step is, we've got these and we still have all the little components. We may as well bust this stuff open. Now I'll do this after, but let's bust this guy open, because I haven't even opened it yet. A thin little rule book that's actually foldable, so that's good. So this is part of the expansion. Okay, this is different. These are little round circular things. This is all of the original aliens that you get to choose from, right? So this must be part of this expansion too. Then here we go. Oh yeah, so there's 2 more boards right there. Guilds of Shinyu Jai or something like that, or Jai, and House of the Twavern. I don't know. Anyway, there's 2 more right there to add. There's the colors for them. And then there's the solid blocks, ones for those creatures. So that's what I was saying, is that for each one of these, there's 3 of these, plus all of their little colored cubes. So just as an example there, focus. There we go. Kind of cool. Nice thick chunky pieces, it's great. But again, poses to be another challenge to how we're going to get everything into that other box. And then of course we've got some more cards. See, there's little cards and standard size cards too. How are we going to fit all of this in here? Now, so this is cool, because this will fit under here and take up that extra space there. And then these are little pucks that will be organized afterwards as well. And this could maybe, yeah, look at that, it's right on par, it's the same size. So that can actually go on top of those. So here's what we have left. For space, that's great. We have tons of space up here at the edge. We're not focused again here. There we go. We have tons of space here up at the edge, right, that we can actually get a pretty thick tray in there to go right across. And then still have some deeper ones here, so we can have a tray here for all the cards. And we can still do the thing I was saying on this side here, deep pockets to put all of the chunky pieces in. And possibly even over here, or like I said, then we could do multiple trays over here for artifacts or something. We still have the rule book too, which would go in there like so. I would normally put it on top and it'd help to hold all of the components in up top, but this isn't the full size here, so you can't really do that. So we'd have to put it in here somehow. I think it's probably going to go this way, and then we can have everything come up to this size here. We got about 1.25 inches. We want to make sure it's tight. Now we also have to remember that our foam board is already so thick, so we also have to accommodate the thickness of the foam board. It's pretty much exactly 1/8, so we always have to remember that in our measurements. So the distance from here to here, 10.25. Now that's great. So basically we would have 10 if we had 2 sides here and we made one long sleeve. 8 of them, actually, sorry, 7 of them, because the clones, I think, I have read through the instructions, but I'm assuming you use whatever one you want. It's just a separate board for the solo mode. So we have 7. We have to fit into 10 inches. Maybe I'll cut a strip here first. So if we look over here, okay, so I'll make sure that fits in there. Oh, perfect, nice and snug. There we go. We'll save this because that might come in handy. I made that just a little too tight. Look at that. Perfect. Alright. That fits in there just perfectly. So there's the bottom of our tray. Let's get my little square here. And this thing is so handy. But you can see, so I will get to the point where I have all the pieces to assemble this, and then we'll see how that goes. Once we get to that point, then we'll take a look and see what we're going to build next. Let's get this side done, and we'll move on from there. Alright, so here we go. We've got, now I've already pre-glued the sides on here, and I've just made these little pieces, like this right here, right, to separate all of the little compartments. Now you'll see that I have 2 on doubled up in each because I'm going to split this apart into individual pieces so that it's easy to dump them out without having to mix them all up. So right now though, as one complete piece, it fits in here perfectly. Now I was hoping that I'd be able to put the aliens or the players in there, but it's going to have to go in the top tray because again, it's just not enough space. It's just only that much, right? So that was actually perfect for all the little buyers, and that's all of them, except for the one green one I'm still missing. Now the next step is I'm going to chop this up into individual little pieces and glue the little sides on so that everything will be in its own little compartment. So here we're just going to measure things out and try and get them as pretty close to equal little containers as possible. So I'm just going to mark out where the center is and figure out what the distances are going to be so we can chop these up into individual little containers. Alright, so here's our first one that I've cut off of there. And just got to glue the little end caps on, and that'll be the first little container to hold some of the little trade guys. So I'm going to glue this on there. Now I use a tacky glue and I use just little pins. So there's the first one. Now we're going to take the rest of this, chop it up, make all the other ones. So here we are, we've got all our little cubes. Take all the pins out, the glue's all been set, they've been sitting for quite a while. And here we can put all our little tradesmen, all the little guys that fit perfectly into these. And that's our first part of the token organizer. I don't know why I have so much trouble with that word, organizer. Jeez. Anyway, so here we go. Pull all the pins out of this guy, and there is all of those. Let's put it back into the box. So now they're individual, easy to take out, easy to be able to put back, and not have to dump them all out all at once because it's all one tray and have them all mixed up anyway. So now you can see this is the right height to the rest of this stuff. So we put all that back, and now we're going to take use of the space down in here. Now it can only be as high as that last board, so it's going to be a thin little tray down there. And I'm not quite sure what I'm going to fit in there. As most of the stuff on this board, like the gold or even the aliens, nothing fits. So I just put it in there, and I'm going to leave that kind of upside down for now, just to work as a filler. So here I am, I'm just putting the sides onto it. As you can see, it's just a shallow little piece. Almost done. This is the part about being patient, but you know, the time that it takes in between waiting gives you kind of time to really think of what's going to fit next or how you're going to arrange it. So really, I don't mind taking the time doing it anyway. So now this is dry, and you can see I just put it in upside down as a filler because I don't know what I'm going to fit in there yet. And we're going to work on some of the more, I guess you can say, easier things. Now I kind of have to put a little filler piece like this right in here just to make that all fit smoothly, because again, we don't want the pieces, or if there's going to be pieces below, to rattle around. Now this piece I just put in there, that is also just a filler, so that everything's the height of that, you know, space board, whatever thing is that I don't know what it does. Now this piece I just put in, and I put my thumbs up, is going to be our next organizer, and as you can see, for all the cards. Now the little cards, no problem, I can fit those in, the regular size cards. These bigger cards, I had to come up with an idea that would work for those. So here I am, I'm just pinning together again the borders of it, and you can see I've already mapped things out. I'm just making sure with the cards everything's working here. Alright, I'm going to take that out so I don't get glue on it, and I'm going to start, as you can see those little dots, putting all the pieces together that's going to separate the cards. So we don't have to separate them every time that you play the game. They'll already have their own individual little space. Now here you can see I notched that out, and I also notched the one out that goes lengthwise beside it. And there's a reason for that. The three little cards go down inside those three compartments at the end, and the regular cards go on the other side. And this is going to fit right in there just like that. So that accommodates all the cards for the game. and everything has its own spot. Everything stays organized. Again, it's about making things simple when it comes to setup. You don't have to go through really much other than shuffling the cards when you take them out. They're already together where they need to go. And that's perfect. So we put that right in here, and look at that. Nice and tight. Now I got a little piece that's sticking out there, that part there. I'm going to get rid of that. Now we've got some more depth there, and we're going to build another little compartment. Now you can see that the walls in this one's a little bit thicker, because this is going to go all the way to the top of the player mats. And if you can guess what this is for, there's one thing that I have an abundance of that we need a deep tray for. And I'm kind of hoping, I haven't tried it yet, but I'm hoping that not only all the little pieces is going to fit in here, but even the bag that they normally come in too. And that is our gold right here. So that's our metal gold. It's very cool. We're going to pull all the pins out. Let's get the gold in there. And this is actually kind of exciting. I like putting these together. And look at that. There's a little room to spare. That fits in perfectly right there. Now, I just thought of something. From the expansion, I have these things. Still don't know what they're for yet, but I know where I can put them. And I've already built it. So, as you can see, that's great. You can take the cards out just like that. There's our gold. And you know, technically you can just leave these trays out on the table and leave the stuff in them as you're taking gold as needed during the game. Now, I could put little separators in this and separate them all afterwards. I just didn't bother for now. I'm just going to get them all in there because I know, hey, look at that. They fit. And everything else fits in there perfectly. So we're on the final step now. That's right. The top part that all the other components, hopefully, are going to fit in there. Because we have the alien players and all their little cubes, and we have all the artifacts. Now this is the full size of the box, and the depth is still pretty good too. It's at least the depth of those thick, chunky characters, which there's 3 of for each of the aliens. And there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to fit in there, no problem. And here it is, with just the border for now. We're going to let that dry, and then we're going to start mapping it out. So here we go. We've got everything pretty much placed now. It's just a matter of building all the little borders, keep them all separated. So I just go through and I measure out and I figure out, okay, full length piece here. And I'll put some shorter pieces there. right? And bit by bit, put it together. At the same time, too, thinking about how it can be stronger. Like if I do all full lengths right across in one area, it wouldn't be as strong as if I do, one way and one another way, right? We don't want it to come apart that easily. So here I've got one full length one way, and then the other way I've got 3. Then I can fill in these guys here. And then with all the little ones on the sides, we'll strengthen the ones in the center and so forth. And it should work out pretty good. So this is a little bit of a long process now. I'm just sitting here putting pins in and gluing all the things into place. Also trying not to touch any of the components with any glue. If I have to, I'll take them out. But so far, I've got plenty of space, so I don't have to worry about it. So here we are, we're progressing and getting it done. And once all the glue is dried, we can test it out. So here we are, the token organizer is complete. I had to make this extra little piece here to be able to fit snug with the game manual. As you can see, just like that, just to kind of give it there. But here we are, everything's all glued together. Everybody's got its own compartments, keeping everything separate. Plenty of room to be able to grab stuff and pull it out. Everything here is the expansion. Everything over here is the main game. So there will be a way that we can make that a little more obvious when we go to paint it and Mod Podge it afterwards. So if I pull this out of here, you can see I already kind of got a head start on some of them, and I was able to fit the bag for the money, so that's kind of cool. So every component's in there. There's all the cards. And here's what I was talking about, Mod Podging. Now, this will be in part 2, because we're not going to have enough time in this episode to do all the painting as well. It'll be super long. But the Mod Podge black paint, that just stiffens it right up, strengthens it up, and then allows us to paint it afterwards too. So, now we're going to put her to the test. This is the big thing. This is one of the reasons for doing this. And that's the shake test. As well as we'll see if we can get this cover on all the way. And that's with all the expansions and extra components and pieces and everything all in this box. And if we look at the edge here, perfect. All in there. And here we go, shaking. Shaking, shaking, shaking. That was upside down. Shaking it all around. Probably more so than it would ever be if it was just in your backpack. And look at that. Everything is still exactly where it's supposed to be. We pop this out. All the cards, everything is still exactly where it's supposed to be. There's even still probably enough room if you wanted to sleeve those cards and still fit them in there too. But that's pretty much it. So that's for episode 1 of making a token organizer for Excavation Earth. Alright, so if you like this video, please subscribe. And if you do subscribe as well, don't forget to send an email for the draw. And stay tuned for part 2 when we go and we paint this. And for this other section down here, that's the expansion. We'll probably paint that, say, different, so that it is easy to identify, what's the expansion and what's the main game in the box. So that way, if you want to play with just the main game, or if you want to play with the expansion, it's easy to identify that information, that where things are. So going forward, also don't forget to hit the like, share, and of course, if you like what you've seen and you have this game, or you got the Kickstarter too, and I know on Kickstarter there was some people that were wondering about token organizers for this. So if you're looking to making one for yourself, throw me an email. I'll send you the dimensions of all the components so that you can make this yourself. And amazingly, I almost did the whole thing with just one foam core phone ready board from Dollar Tree. So technically $2. And it's done. So until next time, guys, take care.